Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In case you're new here, I'm Kim. This is Core Union. I want to talk a little bit today about, this would be now the 5th version of my retail store that I deliberately manifested the #1 prime location in the city where I was doing business out of. When you have a desire for something, in other words, a calling, it's something that is in the core of you, it's in your heart, it's a burning desire. That calling is like the next logical step in your evolution. And you can choose to be in alignment or in agreement with God by trusting God and saying like, okay, in other words, I feel this and I know that this is what you want for me. This is part of why I'm here. This can be anything from something that you're inventing, music, art, a career, a job, becoming, like being an entrepreneur of some sort. It can be a relationship. It can literally be all of the above. But when you are in a complete alignment and an agreement with God, you're answering to that calling and you're basically saying, yes, I trust you. So I'm going to hand myself over to you and I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to take all the necessary steps as I'm guided by you. And that is inspired action. How I have manifested so much in my life, there is action involved, but the difference from my perspective is it's not the kind of action or effort that's with force. It's not manipulative. It's not controlling. It is listening to your heart, listening to your internal guidance system. Sometimes you're going to be taking inspired action and you might not be aware of it. And other times there just might be something that is just burning inside of you, something that you really want and desire, and it feels good. It doesn't feel scary. Yes, it's possible that before you take this action, your ego might get involved and might try to protect you, and it might start to protect you by putting all sorts of doubt in your mind of why you shouldn't do this. That is where we start to have the wrestling match. That's how I like to think of it. When we are answering to something and then our ego steps in and tries to stop us from doing it. But it's actually just stopping you and preventing you from living out your purpose, living out partly one of the many reasons why you are literally here on earth, partly part of your purpose of what God created you for. And when you listen to your ego, I think Wayne Dyer may have said this, ego stands for edging God out. When you listen to your ego, you're basically listening to fear and you are allowing yourself to sabotage yourself. It's really that simple. So basically how I see this from my perspective, and this is what my job is daily with my own life, and this is what I would suggest for any of you guys who are looking to level up and become the most highly evolved, best, most loving, purest version of yourself, is that when these things happen, you see it for what it is, you detach it from whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. So if you're having a fear, worry, or doubt, or insecurity around the person that you love, your other half, then you detach that fear, worry, and doubt from the person. You detach it and you see the fear, worry, and doubt for what it is. You're grateful that you were shown whatever this limiting belief was so you can work on it and become the best version of yourself, okay? If it's around a job or a career or any of the other things, if you want to become a doctor, if you want to become a lawyer, if you want to build an incredible online business, if you want to become, I don't know, it could be any of these things. When you start to have these fears, worries, or doubts of how am I going to do this? See that for what it is and just detach it from the thing and just keep knowing that the reason why you have this calling is because this is partly what you are supposed to do. Okay, so the 5th version of the retail store, which was the last version of the retail store, it was a prime location. It was like the location of all locations. It was the #1 best location that any retailer could have in this particular city. Store that had many, many locations. It was a much bigger business than me, was currently under lease for that, in that retail store, probably had a good couple of years left on it. And the reason why I knew that is because we shared the same landlord. That was a circumstance and that did not matter. I already learned that when I have a very strong burning desire, that means I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to do this thing. I'm supposed to love this person, whatever the case is. So that circumstance didn't matter. And I know that I don't have to fight against this. I know that the end already exists where my retail store is already in this location, right? So I did what I've mentioned in many videos. I opened up my design software. I think at the time it was probably Adobe Illustrator or whatever. I pulled an image of the store exactly how it was, and then I pulled all sorts of images in, and I designed how I wanted it to look as my business. And I just looked at that and visualized that, and I really felt it, and I knew it, and I trusted it. This wasn't a question for me. This was a knowing. It was a knowing. It was really that simple. I basically reached out to the landlord and I sent the image, and I literally just wrote, "just saying," with a smiley face. This wasn't the landlord, actually. It was the leasing director for the landlord. I didn't hear back from them, and I didn't let that faze me. I just kept feeling excitement, feeling all of the energy, seeing my business, seeing myself in the retail location. Because what I would do is I would go over and walk throughout the store and just imagine my furniture in the store and feel it. Some time passed. Maybe it was a matter of a few weeks or whatever. And I, by the way, in the smaller location that I was currently in, I still had a couple years left on that lease too. I forgot to mention that. So that's another circumstance that's supposedly against this whole idea of me being able to get right into this location easily. Now I've sent the picture. I'm feeling the excitement of it. I'm not letting any of these circumstances get in my way, because I know that my store already exists in that space, and time is irrelevant because all creation is done, which is the only reason why I'm being pulled towards it to begin with, right? Now I hear back from them, and they're all excited about it. Basically, she said something like, "The whole office is buzzing at the idea of this, but," and she named the store, the retailer, and she said, "they are still under lease for X amount of time. We'll reach out to them and see if they're interested in moving, but then you have to figure out, what are you going to do for your lease for your current retail space?" And I said, "No problem, go ahead and do that." And I just stayed in the end. I did not say, "Okay, now I have to figure out how to get out of this lease." I didn't mess with the 3D. I didn't mess with the middle. All I did was stay in the end again, seeing myself in the retail store, seeing my business flourish, feeling how exciting it was to get this location to be in the #1 prime location of the city. I got another email, and here's where God will handle all of the cooperative components behind the scenes, even when you're not hearing back from anybody. All sorts of movement is happening, but you just have to stay in your end because it is already done. The person, the leasing director, basically told me that the store, so a number of things happened in a matter of that short time behind the scenes. The store that was currently in that space was actually very open to moving out, because they were looking at, now as it turns out, another retail location that was in the same city. They had a desire to move. Then a store that was literally, a business that was literally 30 to 45 minutes north from the city that I was in, reached out to the landlord, the landlord's leasing director, and said that they were interested in the space that I was in. So what she told me was, let's go. This store is going to take over your lease. We'll just shuffle you guys around. Let's say a month or two. I was in that space. Once again, circumstances don't matter. Trust that what you are being pulled to, the burning desire within you, the calling, is meant for you, or you wouldn't have such a strong burning desire from it. It is God's way for you. It is what God wants. God is calling you to this because it's part of your purpose here on earth, no matter what it is, okay? No matter what it is. So get in agreement with God, get in alignment with God, and hand over and trust that God is going to handle all of the hows and all of the whens. And when you are in distrust of it, recognize that this is just my ego. This isn't me. And I'm going to step into my power. I'm going to step into my trust, and I'm going to completely and fully, vulnerably surrender myself over the same way a woman in love surrenders herself to whomever she's in love with. Okay? I love you guys so much. Comment down below, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Nothing can come, nothing can come, nothing can come between us.